Hey y'all, it is June the 7th, 2018, and y'all, I woke up early this evening, and, I thought about maybe what I would do on this channel, and, I was thinking about, like we've been talking about death row inmates and their testimonials and what they had to say, especially right before execution. We were thinking about that. We're still thinking about that. But I believe we're going to have to do that at our leisure. It might take a little while, but understand that it is coming out. As far as the series, I have been looking at all sort of testimonials. My homegirl, I believe, Dev, she's been looking at these testimonials too, man. There's a lot of people out there interested in it. But a more pressing matter uh, continues to, I guess you would say, develop at a very, very slow rate. It's a trickle down. It's a trickle down rate. We get the trickle down theory all over the evidence, the so-called evidence regarding this Parkland school shooting, regarding an alleged shooter by the name of Nikolas Cruz. All right. And it did seem to be more pressing. I thought I would cover it, so I started to look into it earlier this evening. Started looking into it, and like I said, it is a trickle down. We will get little bits and pieces and tiny bits and pieces for days and days and weeks and months, as you can already see. All right. As far as a day ago, just about a day ago, was popping in the streets is this right here, what I'm looking at, what we're looking at. Stoneman Douglas, coach who first spotted a gunman, is reassigned from school. All right. I'm not sure what that is necessarily, but I went ahead and saw this video, which appears to be the same video, in which school monitor meeting about Nikolas Cruz took place before Parkland. And, I went ahead and I looked into some of these articles, some of these publications. And they were saying they had this video, and you can see this video. You probably already have seen the video if you're keeping up with it. This video of this guy, and he's talking about all sort of stuff, to include that Nikolas Cruz, they had a meeting about Nikolas Cruz. And I want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about this little tiny piece and bit of evidence that's being displayed in front of us, and how interesting it is. I went ahead and I looked into it, and like I said, they did have a meeting for whatever reason about Nikolas Cruz. Thought he was a troubled child. In fact, and you seen it, they said, well, shoot, man. If anybody was going to shoot up the school, it would definitely be this guy. He would definitely be the one to shoot up the school. They said that a year ago. All right. Meanwhile, I'm kind of interested in wondering what happened for a year. All right. As far as their concerns, oh man, this person might shoot us up. Anyways, let's not think about it for a year. All right. And all sort of alleged things happened over the span of that year. Anyways, he's like a security guard type of person. He keeps an eye out. He saw Nikolas Cruz on campus. And I don't think anybody in the world is denying that Nikolas Cruz was on that campus that day. Right, he saw Nikolas Cruz arrive at the school, all right? And basically his story corroborates for sure with the official story that we've been given, even since day one. And that Nikolas Cruz, basically, he got onto campus and immediately started going to work, all right? And he said he saw Nikolas with a duffel bag. Now, I don't know exactly why it took so long for this testimony to come out, but it does corroborate much of what we've heard and seen as far as the story and how it all went down that day. All right. And that Nikolas Cruz showed up to campus, immediate just beeline it. He was on a mission. He was a man on a mission, to quote this fella right here. He was a man on a mission, and he just went to town. It wasn't but a minute later, and shots were firing off. They were just firing off. It wasn't but a minute later. All right. And he saw Nikolas Cruz. He saw him with a big duffel bag, all right, which was, a lot of people said it was a duffel bag, all right. It's interesting to know that there are witnesses that who we still haven't heard from again, who don't exactly corroborate this guy's story. For some reason, we got to believe this guy. He's a witness, and we want to believe him. The Lord knows I believe him, what he's saying. All right. I believe that is exactly what he saw. All right, but what about the other witnesses in the school? All right, that's what I got to ask. The other day, my sister out there, she asked me over the YouTube, she said, man, what would it really take to convince you that Nikolas Cruz did this shooting? That this story, more importantly, that this story is accurate. The alleged story is accurate. What would it take to convince you? I don't know if I answered her or not, but basically my answer would be evidence. And I'm not talking about circumstantial evidence. And I do know what that is. And that's what we've been given over and over and over and over and over, because this person, just like everybody else in the world, never saw Nikolas Cruz pull a trigger at all. All right? Saw him, indeed did see him. All right, but not with a gun in his hand, not pulling no kind of trigger. All right, and it's just crazy to think that this young boy out here is so good at killing people that he killed all sort of people, got away with it for about an hour. Went to like all sort of Walmarts and Subways and stuff, got drinks and stuff, was straight chilling. All right, and all sort of stuff, and he did that, and he ran up in the school, and he just did that. It's kind of hard to think that he just did that with absolutely zero witnesses in the world. Either that or there's secret witnesses out there who we still haven't heard of. All right. So my answer would be, it would be actual real evidence of him shooting a gun that day. All right. I'm not here trying to say he didn't shoot that gun. It's just I want the evidence that he did shoot that gun. That's all I want. All right, but there's certain types of witnesses out there who it doesn't line up with this fella's story. Like there was a young boy who said he saw dude pull a gun out of a guitar case. He said he didn't get a look at him and stuff because he was probably all armored up. He said pulled the gun out of a guitar case. I mean, the questions, all sort of questions, doesn't really line up. Why would the case be inside the bag? All right, maybe he's trying to hide the case with a big duffel bag. Why doesn't he just put the gun in the bag? Why does he put it in the case? Maybe he needed it in the case. All right, maybe that is true. How did he get? He's got a duffel bag that he's got to unload. He's got to get the gun out of the case. He's got to throw on all his armored vest and helmet that a teacher saw him wearing. All right. Mind you, there was no crossfire or anything in this school. That didn't take place. It wasn't as though the police came in and started sharing shots with this dude. Did not happen. But for some reason, this kooky teacher witness, all right, seems to believe that it was completely armored up fools up in there shooting guns, or at least one. That's who she saw. All right, and Nikolas Cruz supposedly was able to do this, pull this off, get all this stuff going within a minute. And within that minute, plan out such an amazing feat of killing all these people, having no witnesses at all, being able to just dip out and then go to the subway. All right, get you a drink. You see how fantastical that story is. And meanwhile, we've only been given circumstantial evidence. Meanwhile, it's in a school that, number one, yeah, it is basically a victim disarmament zone. That's what it is, all right? And that's why it got shut up. We might talk about that in a second. But not only that, it is absolutely swimming in surveillance cameras, all right? Swimming in it. And meanwhile, they haven't even, ain't nobody wanting, not the prosecutors, not the defense, not anybody is asking to maybe we're going to leak some of this school surveillance footage, which would be the first thing you would ask for, I would assume, if you wanted to get to the bottom of anything. All right? So there's certain bits of evidence that we're absolutely not being shown, and we're being shown little tiny bits and pieces, and it's got to make you wonder why. All right? It doesn't have to make you wonder why. Imagine a situation. I want y'all out there, if you have a little bit of time, imagine a situation where you're watching the lottery, right? On the television or wherever you're watching it. You didn't buy a ticket. You don't have a ticket. You don't know anybody who's bought a ticket. But it comes on. You're having to watch it, and as the balls are coming down, before they come down, you guess the number. You just guess what the number is going to be, and you're correct. The first number, oh man, you got that number correct. You guess another number, and it's correct. And then you're like, oh shit. And then you guess another number, and oh my gosh, it's correct. It's like, what in the world is going on here? You didn't even buy a ticket. You're starting to feel just a little bit queasy. You guess another number, it's correct. All right? You're just sitting there, and you're almost starting to sweat. You can't even believe it. You guess another number, it's correct. And it's like, dude, how can I have 5 in a row correct? Now, this is a lottery out of 6. How in the world? You're sitting back and thinking, man, how can I have 5 in the world correct? Like, this doesn't make any. Oh, I can't be. There's no way I'm gonna get the 6th one, is there? That's basically what I'm feeling like. That's probably what a lot of people are feeling like. Sitting back, looking at this case, thinking, damn, there's no way that they're going to do this in order to hide evidence. They're not going to do this, are they? And then they do it. Oh, they're not going to do this to hide evidence, are they? But yeah, no, they are going to hide evidence. They've been for about 4 months, almost 4 months now. You understand? They've been hiding evidence just in the way that I thought they would, and that's the way they're doing it. The reason why is because they're trying to cover something up real bad. Now that's facts. All right, why they're trying to cover it up? What exactly happened there? I can't tell you. We could share different details and evidence and witness testimonial. We could do that. I can't tell you why they're trying to cover it up. I'm just saying it's just right smack dab in our face. Something's trying to be covered up right here. All right. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where we're at. We're still there. I'm on about 4 or 5 correct numbers in this here lottery. We're about to see if 6 comes up. Speaking of which, Nikolas, Cruz, lawyers. Here's another thing. This is about an hour ago. I mean, we're talking about just hot off the presses. Nikolas Cruz's lawyers seek to block release of statement. Now, this is a statement of his guilt, allegedly, and they're seeking to block the release of that. This was taking place to the police after the shooting. All right, they're seeking Nikolas's lawyers. All right, public defendants at that. They're looking to release. They're seeking to block the release of that statement to the public. Meanwhile, they already asked for the 3 videos in which we just saw, in which Nikolas Cruz is talking about shooting up the school. So why in the world would you block the release of the other evidence talking about probably the same exact stuff? All right, and I looked into it, and basically, the person in the article explained that they probably do that because they probably don't want to see that evidence because they want to try and go for an insanity plea. All right, that is just off the wall. See, the thing is, we're guessing all the right numbers here. It's all falling in line. Why in the world would they ask for this kind of evidence and not that kind of evidence when it's the same thing? And then they're going to go for an insanity plea in which they know they're not going to get because they already put on full display how guilty their client is. All right, so I'm not saying the lawyers are trying to cover it up. I'm not saying that his defense lawyers are trying to cover anything up. What I'm saying is they are plumb retarded. They can't be trusted to tie their shoes in the morning and leave out the front door. All right, I wouldn't leave my dog with these lawyers. All right, but see, they're trying to save him. They're trying to save everybody from what? From evidence, dude. And we're almost 4 months deep. All right, and you see other headlines like Parkland school monitor admits all the signs were there about this crazy racist guy. Oh, he's crazy racist. The thing is, and we've talked about this before. They're trying to paint him as a crazy racist, white supremacist, and stuff. He's got a black brother, and none of it matters, right? It's funny because you'll listen to the guy, the video in question where they're talking about, oh yeah, he was a racist. Oh, he said he was racist to everybody he doesn't know. He said, see, that's what I gotta explain about. See, and I feel like I shouldn't have to explain. These millennials are all mixed up, y'all guys. I mean, I promise you, any millennial you know out there knows someone of every different race and color and creed. They know them all because they're all mixed up. They know them all, right? And so racism, even if it did exist before, it doesn't exist anymore. It's a total joke, anyways, to these millennials, to the point where they'll be racist against anybody who they don't know for any reason. They'll just find out what it is that they are, and they'll make fun of it, and they'll be racist towards it. And it's a weird joke. You might say it's a sick joke, but yeah, that's what all these trolls are doing. I don't know if you notice on the internet, you talk about millions of them. Trolls doing all sort of racist, it's kind of distasteful, but it's the millennial way. You have to understand. This dude has all sort of people around him that cause it basically to be impossible for him to be racist. Pretty much impossible. I want to point out this article right here. It's by Fred Grimm, and I don't exactly agree with Fred Grimm so very much. Just in the way that, we're kind of going at this story at different angles, but I do kind of agree with him in this article about the blame for Parkland killings spreads beyond Nikolas Cruz. Towards the end of his article, he implies that perhaps the blame falls on basically all the residents of Florida right there. And then we got Parkland High School monitor who saw Nikolas Cruz. It's just another video. People do repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats of this here video, which tells us nothing. What it tells us is that Nikolas Cruz was on campus that day with the duffel bag, black duffel bag, and nobody really disputes that. What we're trying to figure out on this channel and all over the internet is, was he doing anything else? Did he do anything else? Did he shoot people up? All right, can we see any evidence of it? But I want to point out something that we've been pointing out, and it's interesting, is that we just happen to have more manpower. As far as the people who are really upset about this, who are like, hey, man, they're really trying to hide evidence. It really is obvious. They're really making it so very obvious. For all those people out there, and there's a lot. When you think about it, over the whole span of this nation, in fact, the world, the story would go around the world, you're going to definitely have 10,000. To say that you wouldn't have 10,000 people who have access to the internet, who are very, very interested in this case, to say about 10,000, that'd be extremely conservative. Around the world, there's definitely at least 10,000 people who are very much interested in this case, and the fact is that it does not add up at all. Right, and that something's trying to be covered up very obviously and in front of everybody's face. Right, and that might I suggest, even if it's in your off time, if it's just a hobby, that's a lot of manpower. That's a whole lot of manpower. It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of collaboration that can be done. There's a lot of progress that can be had, and very speedily, might I add, very extremely, like at the drop of a hat. People dive on these specific events, and they want to get to the bottom of it, and they just do it. And nobody tells them to do it, and they just do it for free sometimes. In fact, most times it's for free. They just do it. It costs no money. Meanwhile, we're paying all sort of detectives, and we're paying all these damn FBI agents, and we're paying all these sheriff's offices stuff. We're paying them all their salaries to do what? To do their job. It's been about 4 months. It's been almost 4 months. And you're giving us this trickle-down evidence, talking about, oh, we're going to get to the bottom, and we're going to get to the bottom. It's like, dude, y'all are in our way. Be honest with you. I mean, at the end of the day, they're in our way. Right? And I wish they would get out of our way and stuff. We might not see it in my lifetime, but we're going to see it, in which they step kindly up out of the way because they're just in our way. We need progress. We need evidence. We need to know. All right? Is this a situation that we just desperately need to know about, the point where you have it on all your national publications every single day, every other couple days? If that is the case, why don't you give us some evidence? Oh man, you don't trust us. You don't trust us with that evidence. Oh man, I'm starting to believe that we just don't trust y'all no more. Probably. I don't think we trust y'all no more. You might think, well, where do we go from here? What do we do from here? I mean, we know that they just simply cannot hack it as far as getting to the bottom of things, getting to the nitty gritty. We know that the agencies that we put in charge, they're getting all sort of data on us, right? A world of data says Maxine Waters. We know that that's all true. But they can't really protect us, and we're not doing a good job, and they can't really investigate all of our murders and stuff. Like when we get murdered, they can't investigate it and stuff. But however, we can. See, they got a process where they keep things mad secret. They keep them secret for months and months and months and months and months. And meanwhile, they just parade a murdering face in front of our faces and say, oh, look, this is a bad guy who did it. We're not going to show you no evidence, but don't even worry about that. All right, Sheriff Israel doesn't exactly have a sterling reputation. In fact, I've seen him around, if you know what I mean, and I know a lot of people do know what I mean. A lot of people do. All right, anyways, we're all up in the tribulation. Still haven't got no evidence. I'll let you know when we do. All right. Until then, I will need evidence in order to maybe consider this guy to be guilty. Maybe I'm going to need that evidence. Eyewitnesses, anything you want to give me, holler at me. Send me a link. We're up in the tribulation. All right? And I appreciate all y'all. I mean that. Y'all know who y'all are. It's June the 7th, 2018.